I mean, dangerously radioactive.
Okay. Would that be the same measure that they used in the World Trade Center?
No, of course not. What we saw in the World Trade Center case, it was a demolition, so it was a different arrangement.
I see.
Okay, I will try to explain it to you. The World Trade Center was positioned like this. This is the ground level. The tower was built in that way that it went below the ground 27 meters. So the lowest underground floor of the Twin Tower was positioned 27 meters below the Earth's surface. So in order to demolish it, you have to position the nuclear charge at 50 meters below the lowest floor of the tower.
Exactly 50 meters?
Exactly 50 meters, because 150 kilotons produces a cavity of 100 meters. It is exactly the right position. So the upper sphere of the cavity will never reach the Earth's surface, but it will reach the underground foundation of the tower. So the tower will supposed to lose its foundation and just sink into the cavity and melt there, because of the temperature after a nuclear explosion is extremely high.
Yes.
It's enough to melt the entire 400 meters of the tower in just 100 meters cavity. It's just like a pot and a bar of ice cream. So that was the demolition idea. That's why they position the nuclear charge, if measuring from the Earth's surface, is 77 meters.
Not
27 meters here and 50 meters here. So altogether, from here to here, is the 77 meters.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And 100 meters wouldn't work?
It would not work, because the upper end of the cavity would not reach the foundation of the tower.
I understand.
And they intended it to be exactly like this.
Okay, that's what they intended. What actually happened?
The demolition idea actually looked like this. The tower goes under surface 27 meters, and another 50 meters was the position of nuclear charge, the zero box. And the after cavity will look like this after the explosion, 100 meters. So the tower is supposed just to disappear into the cavity.
Yes.
Okay. Because the pressure from every direction, when the charge is buried sufficiently deep, is the same. I mean, the resistance of materials from every direction is the same.
Yes.
So the expansion of all these rings will be almost the same to every direction. But if we position the nuclear charge closer to the Earth's surface, not the 500 meters, are just like 50 meters or 77 meters, this cavity will not look like this. They will look more elliptic, with the longer end facing upwards. So the cavity will be of this form, and the crust zone will be the same. It will look more or less like an egg with the sharper end facing upwards.
I understand.
Why it happens? Because the resistance of materials towards the Earth's surface is the least, and everything always goes by the way of the least resistance.
If it's only 77 meters below the surface, wouldn't we hear an enormous explosion?
No, you would not.
What would we hear?
Nothing. You will just feel the shaking of the Earth, which is typical for underground nuclear explosions.
Like a train going underneath?
Can be compared. It would be maybe 5.7 by Richter scale. It's enough to feel.
So when the fireman testified when he left the Marriott Center and felt the ground shaking,
yes,
and then looked up and the South Tower was coming down?
Yes, that is very reasonable explanation, because expansion of these zones towards the tower structure took a few seconds, and then the pressure of gases begin to expand the cavity and to create these zones which will continue by the tower structure. And between the actual shaking and this process will be a few seconds. I guess it was 12 seconds, as you can see in the movie. We have one movie. Look at this one. This is one of the rarest movies contemporary. You can see that tower begin suddenly to shake.
Yes.
You can see it in this. And then you can measure, you can count 12 seconds, and the tower started to come down.
So it takes 12 seconds for what to happen?
For these 12 seconds, the pulverization wave was propagated towards the tower.
That means the pressure causing a crash zone.
Let's say this is our tower, and this is the Earth's surface. Our nuclear charge is here. The first, it will create a primary size of the cavity, and then the pressure of the gases, which is a former rock, will try to expand the cavity. So it will expand the cavity a little bit. And then the next area will be already compressed by this process. So it will create the three zones. The outer one is a damaged zone. This is the border of damaged zone. And this is the border of crushed zone. And this is the border of the cavity. And all of them will expand, mostly to this direction. So before the foundation of the tower will be reached by the border of expanding cavity, it will be first reached by the border of the damaged zone, which will continue to propagate upwards until it reaches some, maybe 350 meters. Okay? And then it will be followed by the border of the crushed zone, which will continue the same way until it reaches maybe 300 meters. And only then it will be reached by the end of the expanding cavity. So in this process, as you can see, the first tower will be damaged into small pieces until 350 meters. And immediately it will be also pulverized up to 300 meters. So this will be dust, complete microscopic dust.
Dust.
Everything will be just transformed to complete microscopic dust. And this area will be damaged into small debris. And because the tower was above 400 meters, this part will be still undamaged, means solid and heavy. So by the gravitational forces, it will, in the next second, it will just press down.
So when we saw the tower collapse, cascaded out of the sides with that dust.
Yes, as you can see at the movie, when the tower started to collapse, at first point it scattered some debris. And in the next 2 seconds it stopped scattering debris and crashed down and scattered only the dust. So the debris belong to this zone, which we call damaged zone. And the dust belonged to crushed zone, which is represented by this area. Yes, you can see that in the movie.
We all saw it quite clearly. Is there any other explanation for that dust than what you've described?
But look, how can you transform the 350 meters of the thick steel, which is as thick as a tank armor, into complete microscopic dust? No other process can do that. You cannot do that by thermite, you cannot do it by dynamite, you cannot do it by TNT or C4 or by whatever. It's not possible.
So
It's only the nuclear explosion
when the
can do
official
that.
report tells us that there was a pancaking floor by floor.
Yeah, but did you see any flaw in this? Okay, look at this movie. You see that the top of the tower is crashing down. Can you just notice any flaw?
No resistance.
No.
It falls in 11, 12 seconds.
Yes, it's almost the speed of free fall. It's not almost, it is speed of free fall, because this part of the tower was such a fine dust, which is nothing different than the air.
The Sears Tower in Chicago has been evacuated, and we continue to check on the circumstances there. The Pentagon, the State Department, and the White House have been evacuated in Washington as well. The president has We can show you now what happened just a few moments ago at the Trade Center. Watch the building to the left.
It was a nuclear device. Otherwise, why they call it ground zero?
An interesting idea. Tell us about, the book expands in some detail, but tell us about ground zero.
Okay. Many people forgot what the ground zero used to mean before September 11. I had one of the biggest pre-September 11 dictionaries, Webster's unabridged. So let's look what the ground zero means.
I'll read it. Ground zero, the point on the surface of the earth or water directly below, directly above, or at which an atomic or hydrogen bomb explodes.
So,
What do dictionaries that were printed after September the 11th say?
I have an example. These two are both advanced American dictionaries, but of different editions.
Yes.
So let's compare.
I'll look up this one, and you look up that one. Mine says, the old one, the
Wait,
place where a nuclear bomb explodes where the most severe damage happens. And that's according to Longman's Advanced American Dictionary.
Okay, and look at this one.
Now the new colour one, presumably this has been published after 9/11, tells me that ground zero means the place where a large bomb explodes, where the most severe damage happens.
So this is
Ground zero, the place in New York City where the World Trade Center buildings were destroyed by terrorists on September the 11th, 2001.
So it's the same dictionary. Okay, let's look at the edition. This one is published in 2000.
And this is published in 2007.
Yes, you see? It's the same dictionary. But in here it defines it as a place of nuclear explosion, and this is the place of explosion. You know, the English language itself became a victim of September 11. They have to reprint the dictionaries. And not only this, they reprinted a lot of other dictionaries as well.
Okay.